Bonjour, Lucia. Thank you so much for tuning in to the Government Information Service National Television Network. I am Lisa Joseph on this Wednesday alongside Homer the Markets. Lisa and Homer, and you know what it is? It's the morning update. And as we informed you on Wednesday, when we had our conversation with Father Ignatius Tooth, we are continuing to focus on the Breast Cancer Awareness Month, and in studio with us, we can everything healthy eating. It's going to be a program that is going to give you the information to empower you and to help you change your life. And if you are already there on that healthy eating scale, then it's going to help you elevate some more. So, Homer, are you excited?
I am.
I didn't check your lunch bag today, Homer.
I don't have a lunch bag today, Lisa.
Does that mean out today?
Most likely.
Okay, I'm coming along. Along.
It's a very important discussion for us to have, because I feel like my body has been giving me those signals that definitely, something needs to change in my diet. And so the guidance today would be nice. So I'll be taking notes. And of course, guys, you can too as well. You can always join the conversation. If you have any questions pertaining to nutrition, you could always join via our Facebook page, Government of St. Lucia. We're live on there, as well as our YouTube channel. A big shout out to those of you watching on channel 122 as well.
Great. And I know that as we celebrate in Heritage, yes?
Yeah.
That, I often have people say, well, Creole food, it's all about the fatty things and the flours. And while there may be some of those, delights that are in that base, but there are certainly more than enough healthy foods, healthy Creole foods that you can indulge in. And we know that Sunday is coming up. Now, interestingly, while we are observing the Awareness Month and the conversation with nutrition, what's best for your body, even those for our women afflicted with breast cancer and men as well, we also talk about that for overall cancers that can help you fight too. And the 2021 has been designated as International Year of Fruits and Vegetables, and by the UN General Assembly. And I did not know this until it popped up, as you search, and it popped up. And so for the UN, what they're seeking to do is to raise the awareness, directing policy attention to and sharing good practices on the nutritional and health benefits of fruit and vegetable consumption, the contribution of fruit and vegetable consumption to the promotion of diversified, balanced, and healthy diets and lifestyles, reducing loss and waste of fruits and vegetables. That's something I think we in St. Lucia know a lot about. We see them falling down on the ground, nobody picking it up, doing anything with it.
Golden apple season, yeah.
I think we're fast finding out that we, scarce. So I'm not sure how much is going to waste right now, but we're running scarce. Let's say good morning to nutritionist within the Ministry of Health, Wellness, and Elderly Affairs. She's Miss Fadia Campbell. Thank you so much for coming back. Last time our time was just way too short.
Good morning, and thank you so much, Lisa. Thank you, Miss. Good morning to the St. Lucian public, and it's a wonderful privilege to be back in studio to talk about nutrition. I have this passion and excitement when it comes to nutrition, so it's indeed a pleasure to be here this morning.
I can see that her heart. So for those of you who can't see that behind the mask, she's smiling. Yes. Now, last you were here, we discussed the idea of food being the medicine for the body, the first stop. All right, that first pharmacy for us.
Right.
We want to go a little bit deeper into what we can access and why what we access is important. For us in the Caribbean, fruits, vegetables, our ground provisions, these are in abundance once the season is around. So when we are considering as Caribbean people what our plate should look like, speak to us about ideally what that plate should be.
Okay, thank you so much, Lisa. Okay, to put context to our conversation right now, let me take you back to, and you alluded to it a while ago, the available foods within the Caribbean region, they have been placed in 6 groupings based on their nutrient profile. So you speak of staples, food from animals, fats, oils, fruits, vegetables, and legumes, which are your peas, beans, nuts. So these are the foundations of in meal planning that you choose from these various food groupings to provide balance and nutrition for any individual and their diet.
So how now does these foods become so necessary and effective in helping us fight disease? And of course, we want to focus on cancer.
Okay, so most definitely, and you alluded to it again in terms of the ancient scientific scientists who made mention of making food your medicine and medicine your food. And so choosing carefully from the various food groupings will help to, promote good health and nutrition for the body. However, there are different aspects to all of that. So for instance, even in the meal preparation process, healthy food can be turned into an unhealthy food based on the method of preparation that is used. So for example, if frying and stewing with a lot of fats and oils and all these other seasonings, it can make the food unhealthy. So what our focus basically is to keep it fresh, to keep it natural, and of course nutritious, so that it can provide the nutrients that the body requires for optimal functioning.
Now the frying, the oils, it's basically the taste of oil. Does that also matter in when you're preparing your food, whether you want to fry your piece of chicken or something? So does it matter in which oil you use?
Yes, it does matter, but at the end of it, fat is fat. So for example, if somebody wants to lose weight, 1 gram of fat would yield 9 kilocalories, and that is a lot. So yes, the choice of fat is important because you have bad fats and good fats, healthy fats and unhealthy fats. So of course, the recommendation is to choose the healthier options. So for example, I'm sure you must have heard already olive oil, extra virgin olive oil. So these oils are saturates that can be used. However, there is something about the oil, the olive oil. It is so pure, it is so natural that it is not allowed to be heated. So it's heated, it changes the constitute of the oil. So olive oil is best used cold. So that is why on some labels of the olive oil you see cold pressed, meaning no heat process. It did not go through any heat process, just so that it can preserve the good quality.
So where does our coconut oil fit in
Yes,
that?
I was just coming to that. And coconut oil, I remember in the past, oil was given very bad rap. However, because of the research, the ongoing research, now coconut oil is becoming a very premium oil on the same level with olive oil. Actually, there was a research that I read, and it said that coconut oil and olive oils actually reduce bad cholesterol among a population group. So coconut oil, it has what we call saturated fat, but it is a different kind of saturated fat. It has what we call the medium chain triglycerides, or MCTs. That is totally different from the other fats from the, let's say, the animal products. So coconut oil is another very stable oil that can be with, it can withstand extreme temperatures as compared to the olive oil that is supposed to be used cold. So you can drizzle it on your salads, you can drizzle it on your food, but the coconut oil, it can be used in cooking and it can withstand heat.
I just
or
have one other
temperature.
question. It's becoming the rave now.
Yes.
Avocado oil.
Yes,
So
avocado.
how does that match up?
Avocado is another very, very healthy oil because, again, of the constituent of what it is made up of. It is an unsaturated fat as well. And even the avocado, even the fruit itself is also very, very healthy. It is heart healthy, actually.
Let me let Homer jump in.
Nice.
Yes.
So much information that you're already sharing with us, and you already have me thinking of, meal preparation and where I may be going wrong, as well as, selecting foods. One of the things I find is always interesting about the way that we eat is that we tend to have a lot of sides, or we like the different side in our meal. Our plate. So you gave us the food groups that we need for a balanced diet. But if you were to paint a picture of, a plate and what it's supposed to have on there, give us an example of that would look like.
Okay, so
Let me just help along by saying, because I think just so people can understand in the context of everyday eating.
Exactly, yes.
So, we what we have in abundance, we have our dasheen, we have our breadfruit, we have our sweet potato, our griffig, what am I missing out on? The yams and stuff. So would all of these be placed on a plate? And what amount should we be having at any given time?
Okay, so you speak about an everyday eating as it relates to your plate and balance. Generally, an average adult is supposed to consume as much as 11 what we call servings of staples. Remember, we said the 6 food groupings? And the staples would include food like the provisions, the breads, the cereals, rice, macaroni. These are just examples of staples, and these are what we call your energy-giving foods. So you would definitely need it. But of course, going back to context, it would be dependent upon the individual person. So let's say, for example, a farmer who works very hard would expend more energy than a secretary that is seated at a desk, would not require as many calories as we see, because each individual has a specific number of calories intake based on their daily activity. So for example, you would want to give a farmer or a hardworking somebody who expends a lot of energy more carbohydrate than, let's say, somebody who is sedentary. So you have the staples, that is necessary, that is important, so that must be taken on a daily basis, whether it's through the breakfast, and I spoke about the breads or the cereals, so you can start a few servings in the morning. When you speak about your lunchtime, you can add another few servings at lunchtime, so whether it be in form of ground provisions or rice, or even some people like their chow mein and these other pasta foods. So that would be a few servings. Now, I love to draw the plate. When I have a patient in with me in my office, I actually draw the plate for them. And it is dependent on the patient that is seated before me based on their medical condition. So generally, carbohydrates are part of staples are part of the meal. We move now to vegetables. Now, vegetables must be part of the meal as well. And it is recommended that fruits and vegetables must be eaten every single day. So vegetables would be part of it. Then you have legumes, which is your peas and beans. So that would be another portion of the plate, right? So let's say a pot spoon would be approximately a serving, basically. And you speak about your animal protein that we so love, the salizo, that not missed. So of course that would be another portion, which is about 3 ounces, about 100 grams, about, the palm of my hand, basically, that serving. So you have your staples, you have vegetables, you have peas, and you have your protein, which is the fish, the meat, the chicken. Now, we're missing something. Sometimes some person may just want to wash it down with some fruit juice, right? So when you speak about the current food groupings, so right there, this would encompass the food groupings. And based on the fats and oil, it would be dependent on how the particular food is prepared, whether oil or butter was used. So right there at just the midday meal, somebody would incorporate about almost all the food groupings. And of course, have dinner to take care of. Yeah, so.
But you mentioned the juice, and I'm thinking when we're looking at the plates, the calories already there.
Yes.
And juices contain their own set of calories as well. So what would you recommend based on the plate that you just described and what that calorie it could be, and even looking at the construct of the foods, what is the carbohydrate level, the sugar level, and so forth? What juices would you recommend would be best for us to take with our meals?
Okay, so juices would be, I would definitely recommend the unsweetened juices. Or another healthy option, just eat the fruit instead. And you drink some water.
As your dessert.
Yes, as your dessert. If it is that you're very health conscious, you can always meet the sweetened juices. At times somebody might want, some fruit juice, but it must be 100%. If it is the orange or the guava you use to have the local and fresh fruit juice.
Now, when we're making that juice at home,
definitely.
table sugar. Let's talk about table sugar.
Yes, definitely. That is the other issue. The amount of sugar that is added when the local juice is made, especially the citruses, those that are sour, the lemons and limes and tamarind, and they may take in a lot more sugar, and it would just be as bad as just grabbing a soda to drink.
So how do you temper that?
Temper that by, of course.
That acidic taste, that sour taste, how do you do it without having to add low sugar to it?
Okay, maybe you can do it less concentrated. That can work as well. It can be done less concentrated, and of course less sugar would be added.
Okay. Just speaking to the juice, we see a lot of companies coming in, I guess, as we're moving towards a more health conscious approach, that they just process the fruit or they process the vegetable and they bottle it, and that is being now served as juice as opposed to all the processes. And just listening to you speak, that may be a better
That is a better option. Now they are reformulating and cutting back on the sugar. So it is now the consumer's responsibility when they go out on the supermarket shelves to add the amount of carbohydrate or the amount of added sugar to that particular fruit juice, that particular product.
And nice. Now, just to start a conversation a little bit towards, fighting cancer and the foods that help us that within our Caribbean region. What fruits or vegetables or even foods would you recommend, as well as the process of preparing the food?
Okay. So with respect to reducing the cancer risk as it relates to foods, definitely fruits and vegetables are highly recommended. They contain the compound that is needed to combat cancer, and that is what we call the phytonutrients. So for example, you have beta carotene in the deep rich colored foods, for example the pumpkin, mangoes, so the yellow, the beta carotene, they're yellowish, and oranges, so you find pumpkin and squash and any yellow or orange fruit or vegetable you can think of would have beta carotene that actually helps to fight cancer. Then you have the others like the antioxidants, and there are different types. You have vitamin C, vitamin E, selenium, vitamin A. These are all antioxidants that actually help to fight cancer, to just scavenge the free radicals that accelerate the cancer. So it is very, very important for persons to take fruits and vegetables. And I'm glad that you made mention even of the waste you spoke about. This year, United Nations have designated as the year of fruits and vegetables. And just think about when we're in the mango season, the amount of mangoes that are all, as you drive around St. Lucia, that is being wasted. And I'm saying, look at this. With all the phytonutrients, the beta-carotene, all the vitamin C, the guavas, and we have some exotic fruits right here in St. Lucia, right? The guavas and pineapples and all the other local fruits, the bananas and so on. So I would encourage the St. Lucian public to go back to basics. Let's start to eat and to enjoy what we have right here in St. Lucia.
I mean, strawberries, blueberries, the grapes are great. They're good
yes, they are great. Yes, they do. Of course, they do.
But the preferred, let's go to the local where, because sometimes some of these fruits from the international market, they go some treatments that make, especially for people who've been diagnosed, that there may be contained in there certain chemicals that can exacerbate the situation.
Definitely, that can exacerbate the situation. So for the apples, they would, put the wax in it just to preserve it, preserve the shelf life. And, and if it is that you are battling cancer, you might not want to, consume the foods with those additives that can work against you. So the best bet is to stay local, stay healthy, and stay fresh.
Yes. And what about production of foods? Are there any methods that you would recommend when it's that in terms of ensuring that you're keeping your food healthy?
Okay, most definitely. So when you speak about food preparation, meal preparation, you're speaking about foods that would not warrant the use of fats and oils and added sugars and sodium and salt. So you think about chicken, for example. So if you want to bake your protein, your chicken, that can be done. And of course, even with the preparation, removing the excess fat, the excess skin. So that in itself will reduce the total amount of fat in the chicken. You're talking about steam. Steam is another very, very healthy method of preparing your food as compared to, let's say, frying or even stewing that some persons would require to put in a lot more, maybe butter or oil or even the ketchup, which has a lot of sodium and a lot of hidden sugar as well.
What about air frying?
Yes, this is another another method of preparation, that is becoming popular, the air frying. So in that you put very little, no other, let's say, butter or fat in there. So that is another healthy way to prepare the food as well.
One thing I noticed, we have barbecue culture and people with grilling.
Yes.
And so vegetables are being grilled or just the meat being grilled. What are your thoughts on that? What is it a healthy option to have to grill your vegetables and meats?
Okay.
Especially for people who are cancer patients.
I am very happy you asked this question. Grilling or barbecuing has to be done with caution, especially when it comes to persons with breast cancer or that may raise the risk of breast cancer, because even the charring, if food is burnt, the chicken is burnt, the meat is burnt, and release what we call the carcinogens that can accelerate the cancer. So it is very, very important to know that, so that you can limit even barbecuing or grilling the food on an open fire. As long as it's charred, it can pose the risk for developing cancer.
So even though you believe that you're doing the right thing by eating your vegetables, but grilling it is certainly not great.
Yes, and yes, I see the popularity in grilling vegetables, but vegetables should not be overcooked or overprocessed or you may lose the very important nutrients like vitamin C. Even in school they taught us that you should not overcook vegetables. So steaming is a very better way of preparing vegetables.
What about corn? Because even that, that roasted corn as well. So where does that fall on the scale of things?
All of that. It is still a food that has been, sometimes it's burnt or it can be charred. And of course, it can increase the risk of developing cancer as well. So persons must be very, very careful with respect to barbecuing and grilling on an open fire.
Before Mama jumps in, you spoke about bread and cereal.
Yes.
Now, you say like bread. Well, I'm off bread and this. So when you mentioned having bread on the plate as part of the and cereal, because a lot of people cereal is automatically converted into sugar. So what would that?
Well, remember, as I alluded to, cereals form part of the staple grouping, and we need it. So now you have to look at the choice of bread or choice of cereal, and you'd want to choose those with a lot of fiber as compared to those with just simple, let's say, cornflakes with no fiber. So you want to choose those that are high in fiber. The breads that have fiber, or the whole grain or the multigrain breads, these are healthier options. But bread in itself, some persons may say they tend to stay away from bread because it is the culprit for weight gain. But we have to look at everything in balance. Okay? So if you are to choose cereals and breads, it would be better that the whole grain, the multigrain, those with high fibers be chosen instead of the plain white bread or the refined floured ones.
All right, and so look at the flour which it is made. So like a sourdough bread, I've been turned on to sourdough, which is very awesome. It tastes really good, and it is exceedingly healthy.
Yes, definitely.
So,
that is good.
So you recommend sourdough?
Yes, definitely. Yes.
You heard it right there from the expert herself.
Yes.
So it is.
Definitely. And there's what we call the spelt flour as well that can be used. So if you into home baking and bread making at home, you can use these other healthy options of flour.
I just find it's just really sad, just a side note, that when you go to a bakery, you do not have all of these options. So, like the sourdough, for example, I was at a wit's end trying to find the sourdough, in St. Lucia. And, the frustration.
Yes.
Everywhere. No, we don't. So,
yes. So, lately, that's the limiting factor that we have in St. Lucia.
I found it in V4 though.
You did. Okay, well,
just saying that. I found it in advertising, but I found it in V4. You do the legwork and find out where in V4. We're due for a break. When we come back, talk about vitamins and the importance in your health and for cancer fighting as well.
Definitely.
Stay with us. We're speaking with nutritionist within the Ministry of Health. She is Fadia Campbell.
What's in the food you're eating? Do you really even know? All the chemicals and hormones used to accelerate their growth. All the artificial flavoring, sweeteners and colors too. We consume and we don't spare a thought for the damage that they'll do. No, think about the children. Think about the children. How will we save them? Chemicals and GMOs are not the solution. Use organic and join.
Excessive agrochemical use, additives, and genetically modified foods are harmful to health and the environment. Join the good food revolution. Grow, buy, and consume organic. A message from Rise St. Lucia and the Ministry of Sustainable Development with funding from the GEF Small Grants Program, UNDP.
The good food revolution.
Just with the fiber as well.
Okay, we were just having a little side discussion there. We were continuing on the choices that you're making for your breads. Because, St. Lucia, we love chicken and we also love bread. So she was just describing to us, explain rather, about the sourdough and some of the other flours, and we were saying you were caught on camera talking about the releasing of the glucose
fiber,
level.
Yeah, the glucose level released slower compared to the refined carbohydrate. Yes.
And so that's another point we need to be mindful of when we are planning our meals.
Definitely.
How the foods affect our glucose levels, because that too is important in the fighting of diseases and cancer.
Definitely, of course, because that is why the recommendation is to use foods that are high in fiber, because what fiber does, the digestion of it is slower. The release of the glucose is slower, because every food that you eat that has carbohydrate, the body has to use it in that form, in the form of glucose. And of course, I am sure you've heard already, persons would tell you cancer feeds on sugar. But every cell in your body would require glucose. So that is why it's important to choose the healthier option of carbohydrate and go right back again to foods that are high in fiber. So the release is slower on the body, so it is not spiked, you know? So the slower it is, the better.
I think that when people talk about sugars, we think about the chocolates and we think about the table sugar and so forth. But the sugar, when we speak about that, it's really about the glucose in the body.
Yes.
Because there are foods that, even though that they're healthy, they can have an impact on your glucose levels.
Definitely, Lisa. There are hundreds and different types of glucose or sugar that occurs in nature. So you speak about fructose, which is sugar, maltose, which is milk sugar, galactose, and the sugars from the honey and the dextrose, and there are a number of different kinds of sugars and even when it is consumed, like I said, the body has to convert that type of carbohydrate into glucose. Yeah. So it can be used, the cells can function properly.
Yeah, just listening to you speak about, the variety of sugars that you can derive from, maybe fruits and food products. Just before we head over to, talking about supplements and vitamins, which of course are another important factor to our health, it makes me think of the importance of checking labels when purchasing food.
Definitely. That is so important, to be able to read a food label and to be able to interpret it correctly. And every ingredient that is listed, there is the nutrition facts, and it gives you the amount of calories. It gives you the serving size. And the amount of nutrients that is listed, it is per the serving of the food. So let's say, for example, if this product has 4 servings, the nutrients, so if you take in the entire package, you have to multiply all the nutrients that are there by 4.
You hear that, Hilma?
Yes, and so, I'm just thinking, does that include the calories as well?
Definitely, yes. So you have to multiply, yes. So
that makes me feel guilty for binge eating,
So it is important to read the food labels, especially the nutrients.
Understand it, and so we will have you back at time for us to understand labels.
Definitely, especially the nutrients like the sodium and the fats, the saturated fats and cholesterol. So definitely.
Yeah, we need to have a show on that. Before we went to break, I said with vitamins.
Yes.
Where does that fall, especially in our vitamin D family, the folate? So speak to us about how that is in our overall health and in cancer fighting.
Yes, definitely. Vitamins play a very, very important role. It's like a protective kind of nutrient for the body. And remember, I spoke of the phytonutrients, and a lot of them would come from our vitamins. So you have the beta carotene and the vitamin C, vitamin A, selenium. All these are vitamins that do play a significant role in protecting our cells from cancer. So of course, folic acid, and you have a whole host and whole branches of other vitamin A and A1, A2, vitamin B and B3, B6, B9, and there are a whole set. So that is why variety is very important. And the beauty about the foods, especially the fruits and the vegetables, they would contain more than one vitamin. So that is why it's important to combine them properly and so that they can be used. And even with the use of vitamins, you have nutrients that work well together and some of them that may work against each other. So for example, even with the intake of, for example, vitamin C is very important to enhance and to facilitate the absorption of iron. Yeah, so that is important.
Because a lot of people I know, they say they take the iron tablets, so they try to, but then they deal with constipation. So does the vitamin C help you manage in that situation?
Okay, with respect to iron and constipation, well, this is a side effect of these. So, of course, it will help to facilitate that process. So, definitely, the vitamin is important to take with the iron, at least help or mitigate that sort of issue in terms of the constipation. But, of course, abundant fluid would also be important, a lot of water in order to help that process as well. Of course, the gut health foods, you talk about, of course, the fiber as well, that would help with the issue of constipation as well.
You know, asparagus is also good food.
Yes.
I mean, that thing.
Yeah.
Eggs, you know, we love eggs too. Yeah, chicken, bread, eggs. That's simple shop.
Yes. Yeah, that is another.
Christmas I come. Hope if you haven't bought eggs, you better hurry.
To bake the fruit cake. But eggs is, of course, what we call a high biologic value protein. Egg is important for the body. It's high biologic protein. But of course, the truth of the matter is an egg yolk would give you enough cholesterol for the day. And of course, I was reading an interesting research now. It is showing that egg is not as bad as we.
They're saying that you have up to 3 eggs a day.
Yes, I was
even more. One,
that.
One every day, 2 every day.
And of course, I was reading this article which spoke about the choline in the egg that helps with memory. So it causes you to remember.
You think Oma gave you an eye as you said memory, right?
And that was quite interesting. But of course, more well, you would not just lean towards just eating 3 eggs every day. So what about the other nutrients? So they work in tandem with each other.
Yeah, so that really does speak to the balance because, you know, you talking about eggs assisting with memory, it makes me feel like, yeah, I definitely need to...
You don't need eggs, do you?
Yeah, I definitely need those eggs, but then you said 1 egg yolk gives you the cholesterol for the day. So I'm like, okay, so it really is a balancing act.
Definitely. Balance is important.
Saltfish, that's another.
You're just picking up the food.
But listen, all of these come in.
Definitely.
We want the hawa sauce.
Yes.
The
hawa sauce.
So that is processed.
Yeah, that is processed.
Processed meats and
processed
stuff.
meat, processed fish.
Talk to us about those cured and salted things.
So I'm not saying that we cannot. I mean, it is Creole Heritage Month. Creole is coming up. And of course, you'd find a lot of the salted meats or cured meats of fish. However, again, going back to the preparation, so if it is that the saltfish has to be used, you have to try to reduce the amount of salt or sodium that's in there by soaking it, whether it's soaking, it has to be soaked overnight and to move. But that does not mean all the sodium and salt will be. There'll still be some measure, some amount in there. However, it would be important to remove as much as you can.
Are there any chemicals in there that may increase your risk of getting cancer, or if you're a cancer patient, that is going to make your situation not so good?
Yes, because because they would have been killed with what we call the nitrates and the nitrites. Now, these are other substances that are added to preserve and to cure, especially the salted pigtails, right? And you'll see them pink color. So that's just the chemicals. That's to tell you it has. That's not the real color. The meat.
It wasn't the real color.
Yes.
No,
I just thought, pig.
Yes.
Hey,
So the addition of these other actives just to cure it and to keep the shelf life. So definitely, I would encourage persons with cancer, try to avoid and maybe try to get something that is fresh, maybe fish, another healthier option, right? Instead of the cured meats and fish.
Tomatoes also good?
Sorry?
The tomatoes.
Yes, definitely. Tomatoes, especially with the lycopene, as it relates to the antioxidant, it helps.
Actually, I would not have given up.
And the beauty,
I would not have given up.
and tomatoes, in order to get the lycopene, it has to be heated or it has to burn down. You can eat it in a lot, that is fine. You will get your vitamins, your minerals. But in order to get the other benefit of the lycopene, it has to be heated to be broken down. You must,
Now,
yeah.
you know that my grandmother always put tomatoes in her meat. Doing the chicken,
Wow.
she would put the tomatoes in there and have it for boil. So
Yes.
that's okay. So
Yes.
grandmama didn't even know.
Didn't even know.
I know it was healthy.
Yeah, it was healthy.
It was healthy, but I suppose the science behind
Right,
it.
the science. And a lot of the older folks, they would do stuff to the foods, and even now the current science is showing, but there's some scientific basis to what these old folks used to do.
They didn't go to
Yes.
university, but I can tell you they were smarter than us. They were smarter than us, more informed than we are.
Definitely.
Coming into our time here, but I want to talk about turmeric is becoming another rave for us.
Definitely.
So the benefits of turmeric.
Yes, turmeric is also a very healthy spice, and persons use it. Well, I use turmeric in my food almost every day because of the compound. I think it's curcumin that's in there. Yes, it is anti-inflammatory, and now it is showing to help fight cancer. And remember, I spoke about the beta carotene, the rich color in there. So the P in there actually helps to fight cancer, and not just turmeric, some other spices like cinnamon and ginger, and they actually help, and they actually help to boost your immune system. And we're speaking about teen, and everybody wants to have a healthy immune system. So indeed, turmeric is very good. It is anti-inflammatory, and the curcumin in there actually helps to fight cells.
Yeah, I just want to say that garlic powder.
Garlic as well, yes.
Yeah, but probably the fresh garlic.
Yes.
Yeah. Go for the garlic powder.
Definitely, because the powder, they would have added some salt or sodium in there. So you want to do the fresh.
Don't give me
plain.
the eye, Homer.
Yes.
I was trying to understand.
I've got you. Got you this morning.
I was trying to understand,
Don't worry, Homer. Lean on me. That's okay. Green tea.
Yes.
Final moment.
Definitely. That is another great antioxidant food. Green tea. So a nice cup of green tea is definitely can help you, in fact, relax you as well. And also, it does contain antioxidants. And there's no need to add any sugar. So plain tea with no sugar also is another added benefit to reducing the risk of cancer, specifically breast cancer.
We'll be having Fadia back quite often to have those discussions. And don't forget to learn how to read those labels.
The labels, definitely.
So that's our next appointment with you.
Definitely, no problem
And
at all.
so we'll be stepping into your office. But as we close, we want to say thank you, Fadia, so much. And Homer, it was great. Wasn't today's session very great?
Very informative.
And so I'm going to you to lunch.
Sure.
And so we shall follow the guide.
Yes.
But
yes.
as we close, we want to leave you with this video produced by the Food and Agriculture of the United Nations for the International Year of Fruits and Vegetables 2021. See you tomorrow, guys. Bye.
Thank you.
Ripe, delicious, lush, nutritious. We come in all shapes and sizes, colors and shades. Raw or cooked, sweet or bitter, soft, crunchy, fragrant, pungent. All of us unique and special, full of fiber, vitamins and minerals, culture and traditions. We don't just fill your plate, we fill your stories and memories. Long and short, slim and plump, sometimes awkward or misshapen, forgotten or neglected, but never ever ugly. Whatever people say, because we're what really makes you tick, what makes your eyes sparkle and your smile dazzle. We are fruits and vegetables, simply beautiful.